In a recent video on the channel, I checked out the pepper sprayer because that weapon has everything going for it except for some of the lowest damage output of any SMG in the game, and we gave it the best loadout we could to see if it made a difference, and it absolutely did. Now, of course, totally rocking out is going to make anything good, but ignoring the team perk exists and never touching the pepper sprayer is something that I'm kind of done doing, and that weapon impressed me. And Archer was in the call, and he said, bro, trust me, the Trinity is good. This is a weapon that is a burst SMG. It never really blew me away, and I'm sure you're seeing gameplay of what this video is going to look like later on, but I just never liked it. Every time I tried it, it kind of let me down. It was an inaccurate burst weapon with less range than I'd like it to have, but he insists that it's pretty good, and I just think I'm going to give it a try. Same exact perks as the pepper sprayer. We're just going to be running it double crit damage, crit rating, affliction is amazing. We're going to be running a very similar loadout. Because of the 2.2 second reload speed on the Trinity, we are running Beetlejuice in the lead instead of Sledgehammer. She has all the amazing Outlander abilities, including phase shift, which can activate quick fingers and make us reload essentially instantly, which is super convenient. And I think the one thing I want to change is a locked and reloaded for Gunblazer Southie. I probably won't take advantage of this that often, but Gunblazer will give us a 35% damage bonus to our SMG after we phase shift, and since we're using that to reload, it makes sense. And assault damage is not an accident. We are specifically using a soldier so that we can get a little bit more health. It'll be kind of nice. Same bonus as hip shot, so it's not going to matter too much. Fumble and battle beat, toy rocking out. Let's hop in game and see if the Trinity is better than I thought. All right, our first crowd of enemies. Let's see how it does. So I'm going to shoot these surrounding enemies first, just so we can get toy rocking out active, and actually, that was pretty strong. Gonna be coming over here to the enemies near the defense, and with a 4-round burst and affliction, we are effectively one-bursting every single enemy, and that is what I was hoping to see. Toy rocking out's active. It's doing some decent damage. Actually, Chaos Agent doesn't bug out nearly as much when you're reloading with this weapon. See, I always have to switch back and forth because if you're empty, he starts reloading improperly, but I will say, using a full burst on a weak enemy doesn't feel that great, so maybe a smash will be a bit better. That range is definitely hitting hard. If we're not critting, it's noticeable, but with the bonus from Gunblazer and a bit of closer range, really solid damage, actually. I'm not really disappointed. This is doing a lot better than I had in my head. That was $250,000 to the head. That's really good, actually. Interesting. All right, I'm going versus an entire encampment. This is bold, but I'm going for it. So again, starting with the lower enemies, we want to start with the ranged guys and the, oh, there we go, and the beehives. We want to shoot these enemies around here, activate totally rocking out, get up next to the, ooh, that was some good damage. Getting up close to the blaster and almost one bursting it. I like to see that. And honestly, the reload on this, not too bad. I know 2.2 seconds is not that long, but instant is better. Got a nice little setup here. We got an encampment. We got a blaster. Let's do this. Let's dash, boost our damage, shoot all the enemies. Typical setup. Again, not using wafers for some reason, but I don't like wafers. You know, I like to just keep shooting. I think stopping to get wafers all the time is kind of an annoyance, but this is actually doing just fine without the help. All right, let's get the encampment activated nice and proper this time. All right, we want to shoot it down to one burst, phase shift normally. Oh, wow. This crowd doesn't even need an SMG. You know, one Outlander ability and they're all dead. Again, the bigger targets like you are the ones that actually need this, and it goes down easily. Dies to affliction, get nice and close. This is amazing. Actually really good. Like, this is actually really good damage. I'm not even gonna bother with these basic enemies because crowd clearing is not this weapon's strong suit. I mean, it'll work, but like, yeah, I think we've seen what we need to see. Let's get the defense started. Actually, okay, yeah, now let's get the defense started. All right, the defense begins, and this is a great way to illustrate that it, on paper, says it has the same range as the pepper sprayer, but you can see that it's, I don't know, it gets really, really bloomy, you know? It fans out, it's not quite as easy. Of course, once the enemies start hitting my traps more often, I'll be able to get a lot more consistent toy rocking out activations. That is carrying a lot of the damage, although realistically, this weapon's doing just fine, kind of on its own, you know, with lucky crits in there, and again, every single bullet after the first one that gets that damage to afflicted bonus, and oh, I don't want to die. This is looking like the pepper sprayer video all over again. As I was saying, every single bullet after that first one is going to get that damage to afflicted bonus, which is rather nice. Not an extreme amount, but it's pretty good. And versus Smasher with no Toy Rockin' Out, I'm honestly impressed. I know that wasn't a fast kill or anything, but without Toy Rockin' Out, just the weapon's, you know, base lucky chances to crit, not bad at all. Although, basically, one bursting with the Toy Rockin' Out act. Oh yeah, that's a Ben's Warcry moment for sure. The Toy Rockin' Out is huge. I think wafers would be a recommended addition to this build. If you're somebody who likes to make sure you're always doing the most damage, that would have been a way to go. I like Fumble and Battle Beat, like I said, because I don't like switching off the weapon. Although, ironically, I've chosen to use Chaos Agent here, where I think a squirrel just jumped on my window, where having to switch off to my second weapon is it's a bug that's been a thing forever. Like, when he's reloading, oh, there we go. Toy Rockin' Out activated in the middle of shooting gives us a nice comparison. Way more damage, no surprise there. But I was going to say that, like, it's been a bug forever, where if your mag is nearly empty and you activate Chaos Agent, it'll just continue the reload animation, so it's kind of stressful to use. I think if I were going to run this weapon some more, like, privately or just in the future, a mag size perk would go a long way. Maybe even a reload perk instead of Chaos Agent, but realistically, this is fine. I mean, this weapon, with the build that we've got going, is doing really, really great. And I think I should stay maybe more towards the center here, so I'm not just locking down one side. And I was killing a lot of enemies over there before they hit my trap, so Battle Beat's not getting activated nearly as much. And then as soon as I leave, a Smasher spawns. There we go. Maybe grab that Fumble Football. Sat it down really quickly. Like, that's really solid damage. I'm honestly impressed. For a weapon that I've never really liked, I'm happy to say that I was a little wrong, you know? It's clunky, you know? Having to reload so much is not my favorite thing. Shooting in bursts of 4 is interesting because it's nice. It looks like it's packing a punch, but you're consuming a sixth of your mag every single time you pull the trigger. That makes this really, really tough. You can't really take advantage of every single bullet using it exactly as you want. You kind of have to plan your shots around where that burst is going to go. So it's a lot more restrictive than the pepper sprayer if you wanted to compare the two. But you know what? A lot better damage than I thought. All right, the second wave begins, and we got flingers again. I'm not seeing any flingers though, so that is what I would want to focus on. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I don't want to use up all my phase shifts. That was not me, by the way. That was not me. I don't want to use up all my phase shifts, but I need to get over here because they were a problem. You know, that pepper sprayer video was recorded in the same mission that you guys are seeing here today, and that was a big deal. Those flingers, they will mess up your base, but I'm gonna die hunting them. This is just terrible. I'm like the worst flinger killer ever. Although having no flingers to kill isn't my fault, you know. I'm just out here trying to do the world some good, taking out these throwing thoughts before they have a chance to mess with our base. And not having enough phase shifts has definitely come into play here. Obviously, if you're going to be relying on phase shift to reload your weapon, you're going to want to have phase shifts available. That is a good reminder, though, that phase shift is not my only ability. I think the odd Seismic Smash here and there could be perfectly fine. Whenever I showcase these weapons, I really like to just use the weapon and not get distracted with too much else, but it is worth knowing that if you're going to be using this loadout regularly, you're going to have Seismic Smash, and Seismic Smash is strong. It does pretty good damage. Kills a bunch of enemies in front of you, reloads your weapon in the process if you have Chaos Agent. And now we can actually see sort of how this performs versus a mini-boss. And let's see here. I know I'm getting help from a teammate, but it's all I can do. It's okay. You know, if you're critting and headshotting, it looks like we're getting maybe 250,000 per burst. Like, it's per bullet per burst. It's not a ton, but it's pretty good. Pretty good indeed. You know what? I'm not disappointed. It's exactly what I feel like an SMG should do. Not an overwhelming amount of damage, nothing blowing your hair back. You know, I was wishing I had a pot shot the entire time I was shooting that. It was a physical mini boss too. Like my physical pot shot, anybody's physical pot shot would have absolutely shredded that. I say mine because I'm referring to the different copies that I have. So I recently leveled up a pot shot of every element. I had to actually research these weapons. It was not the cheapest endeavor. I had to actually open some llamas and recycle a bunch of extra weapons, but I did get enough weapon designs, and I actually fluxed a copy of every pot shot. I co-reperked it to the Affliction 6 perk, because that is the way you want to go. That would have been a perfect Seismic Smash moment, by the way. Just getting so used to my... Oh, no, I'm gonna die! Getting so used to my phase shift got me killed here. You know, I threw this on to make a video, you guys. I'm sorry, I didn't practice. As I was saying, I leveled up a copy of each pot shot, and that's just because a lot of mini bosses have different elements. And I see a lot of players using physical pot shots versus like a water mini boss, and that's just not what you want to do. And that was not usually me, because I would just not use the pot shot. I'm always kind of a team Huskbuster when it comes to killing mini bosses. As I was saying, I see people using multiple elements, and I found myself basically never using the pot shot because I just didn't have the correct one for the job. You know, if you're using a physical pot shot versus a water mini boss, you're just going to be doing half of your damage out of the gate, and that's bad. Okay, so having a nature one for those water mini bosses, or whatever element I need to stop running out in the random wild here if I want to stay alive. This is terrible, but having the correct pot shot is going a long way. And same thing with the any weapon, really. Having the correct element goes a long way, because for those of you who don't know, as I just kind of alluded to, if you are using an elemental weapon versus the wrong element, you'll do a ton less. Like water versus nature will do 25% of your damage. That is very little. And physical will do half versus elemental, and having the correct element will go a long way. And I'm now focused more on explaining elements and staying alive, because I feel like we've seen what we need to see. I was wrong about the Trinity, as well as, well, okay, the pepper sprayer, I don't think I was wrong, I just think I underestimated it, and that's kind of similar to the Trinity. I think the playstyle of this weapon has a bit to be desired personally. Some people love it, some people hate it. I think a reload perk and no phase shifting would have been a lot smoother, and I might want to try that in the future. Personally, I'll be streaming that, Twitch link down below, but I want to say that this weapon's better than I ever thought. Obviously, totally rocking out carries a lot. It can make pretty much any weapon look good, so let's not, you know, hype the weapon too much, maybe as much as the team perk, but I like to see a weapon I never had much faith in do so well. And there's a squirrel right outside my window, and he's looking for something. All right, we're doing a surprise part 2 video. I've changed a couple of things, so let's talk about what's going on. Chat wanted me to add this to the video, so thank the Twitch chat. We took out a crit damage perk, and we added a reload perk. I swapped to Tactical Assault Sledgehammer in the lead, put Locked and Reloaded, and Assault Ammo Recovery. So I'm going to have more mag size, quicker reloads, and an overall smoother experience in my opinion. And we'll be doing a bit less damage, but we'll be reloading so fast that it might make up for it. Chat's going crazy right now, but let's try that. Okay, that was a lot of damage. So we're reloading, get that extra damage, not even using my wafers. We also switched missions. Again, I was not planning on recording this game, but I am actually really digging this. That missing crit damage perk was not noticeable. All right, we got some more regular enemies over here. In fact, I'll even eat a wafer just for the heck of it. And there we go. Like, look at that. Instead of having to phase shift around and worrying about my energy, it's kind of just slaying, and just like that, everything's dead. We got a good long-range target. Affliction just doing its job. Whenever it crits, it just does so much, and I am really enjoying this version of the build. Let's find like a smasher or something, or if not, start the defense. All right, we got a smasher. Let's see. Pop a wafer, aim for the head. Okay, clearly a lot less damage, obviously, but still doing plenty, you know? And like, that's kind of the trade-off of the reload. So on the one hand, we're doing less damage, of course, but if we're still killing the targets and being effective, it doesn't really matter all that much. And I will add that what you just saw right there, reloading 75% faster with sustained damage versus a lot of enemies, that is kind of 75% more damage out in the same time frame. Like if you're critting more and doing more damage, that's great, but if you're taking longer to reload, meaning you're spending more time out of the fight, that's a trade-off that you have to make. And by reloading quickly and getting right back into it, it's kind of a big deal. I know that phase shifting can reload you instantly, but it's never instant in practice. You guys saw how many times I didn't have a phase shift, got myself killed, or I ran out of energy and couldn't do it, or I did have a phase shift, but then I ran myself off the map. Plenty of that are skill issues. You know, if you're a strong enough player and you're skilled enough and you're not popping into Fortnite for the first time in a week like I am right now, you can probably take care of that just fine. But I am liking this hybrid build. All right, I heard a smasher in here, but I see it over there. Let's see what kind of damage we can do. That's actually pretty solid. Then we got a smasher here. We're gonna have the tire traps in there. Again, I said it earlier, but this weapon isn't necessarily a smasher killer. Like, that's not its job, but doing pretty well with the help of the traps. And one thing I'm honestly just remembering is that you can hold down left click. Yeah, I am just holding it down right now, and it's shooting basically fully automatic. It'll queue up the next burst as soon as it is. It's like the game devs gave us a burst weapon that feels like a burst weapon, but it's kind of just a delayed fully auto. A lot of burst weapons in this game function that way, but curiously, not all of them. Kind of strange. But since we've pretty much seen how this weapon performs versus a bunch of normal targets, I think I'm going to save this for the mist monsters and check back in with you guys there. All right, here we go. So we got a smasher in front of us, an obliterator working on it. The damage is pretty great, significantly less per bullet, but that quick reload puts us right back into the fight. I already talked all about that, so I won't get back into it. We got Toy Rocking Out active naturally this time. I did did get quite a number of wafers, which I'm pretty thrilled about. And hey, if a teammate is ever running Warcry in these builds, that is all the better. All the better. Another smasher on the defense. Again, the accuracy of this weapon is something that has stopped me from shooting at a distance, but as I was saying again, it does have the exact same range as a pepper sprayer, which is, I believe, the longest range of any SMG. It's about 4,000, which is awesome, and that does keep you effective from a pretty good distance. That means your damage drop-off isn't as significant, and that goes a long way, because I can just sit over here on the base. Obviously, that bloom will mean some of my shots won't hit, but yeah, the accuracy here is basically non-existent. Is the crit damage going to do anything? Here's a good example, though. The range should be sufficient to bully this flinger. So let's reload here just to get my ammo back, and then watch the obliterator do all the work. There you go. That's all me. No, that was actually the bundle bus. Somebody's using the bundle bus in my game. Okay, you know, bundle bus, still pretty good. Still pretty good. If you guys haven't seen my video on it, link to that down below. See here, we can bully these flingers from a range, but a good range, but it's only really that first bullet that's actually doing anything. And if I still have a copy of the pepper spray, I know I've been comparing these two weapons this whole game, but they're very similar. So, and they're part of the same weapon set. You can see the sustained damage is a lot better. Obviously, I'm using water versus nature, but all I'm demonstrating here is the accuracy, and it actually does really well. You can see why I sort of favor the pepper sprayer and why many people do as well. You can really key in on a single target and do really well. It's not a ton of damage, but the fire rate's okay and it gets the job done. So I've always personally favored that over the Trinity, but it's completely up to you guys and what you want to use. I'm just here to showcase these weapons and kind of make a conversation out of it. Okay, we actually got a physical mini boss. Let's see here. Yeah. I mean, again, not the craziest single target weapon in the game, and we are losing so much health. Let me throw some drones, do this. Let me actually pull out that pot shot I was mentioning earlier. I know that it's a smasher, by the way, and that will have a lot more damage from the discharger, but let's see here. Look at that chunk. Oh, the pot shot. I know it's not like a pot shot feature, but who doesn't want to see that? Like, look at that damage. And we've got Toy Rockin' House. Let me just reload that. Pop this. Ooh. Yeah, making my pot shot one of every element went a really long way, and if you can afford it, I recommend doing so yourself. But I think we saw what we need to see. I think I personally favor the reload build, but obviously with a bit more skill and finesse, you can make the phase shift build work either way. The Trinity, same conclusion as before, just a better weapon than I ever thought, but still, personally speaking, burst SMGs have never been my cup of tea, but it might be a weapon you want to try out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys check out some other videos. You know, I've been mentioning the pepper sprayer one the whole time. If you haven't seen that, now's a great time. You know, click one of these videos at the end here, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. And then